The number one reason was we wanted to amplify the voices of the network members. That was one of the main reasons. And we thought, how do we also amplify those voices, but ensure they can reach the top of the organization? And Safe Space was one way to do that. We also wanted our executives to be more aware of some of the challenges their colleagues might be going through day to day, at work or in their just day-to-day life. And again, Safe Space was the avenue to do that. And we wanted to also start making the executive more comfortable about having conversation around race and ethnicity. It still felt at the time it was a taboo subject. So we really wanted to make a shift in this space and encourage them to have those conversations with colleagues and almost normalize those conversations. Extremely valuable. I think without the guide, it would have been a challenge to launch the initiative, because it really gave us a plan to follow. It gave us some structure to put together the initiative. And then you mentioned it earlier, we really used it as a guide, but we adapted it to Inmarsat cultures and how we wanted to run the events. So where it was also helpful is to articulate how we were going to put the initiative together to our sponsors, to the HR team. So when we presented the ideas and they saw the approach we were taking, it gave them confidence. We were prepared to run the event. It's a key step in the process, and so the way we did it was to, as a first step, to be really clear on why are we launching this initiative, how are we going to do it, who do we want to involve, and we drafted a few slides to help us structure our thoughts, and we then used those slides to engage firstly with the sponsor. You mentioned it, Donna, earlier as one of the key steps. We engaged with the sponsor of the network. We agreed to support the initiative, but then we went beyond and engaged with a few other leaders in the organization who we knew were allies, effectively. And we presented the concept to them, so they were also on board. So we had at least 3 senior leaders on board with the concept. We then presented those slides to the D&I team to get them on board, ensuring that the initiative will fit into the overall D&I agenda and contribute to advance the D&I strategy. And after having secured the support of our sponsors and the D&I team, then the next step was to present to the senior leadership team at our company. So we attended one of their team meetings, presented the concept, and asked for participants to join the Safe Space session. That's how we did it. But the key step was being very clear on why we are doing it, how we deliver the session, and how it would be a safe environment. We had a lot of debates about the facilitator. Should we go external? Should we be internal? Should we be someone from HR or not in HR? And ultimately, we went with someone that was one of the network allies. He was often coming to the network events, even though he was not part of any minority group. And we also knew he had the skills to facilitate such conversation. So we asked him, and he agreed to be our facilitator. And we were fortunate because he was the general counsel of the company, so someone quite senior that was able to influence people. And I saw earlier in the chat someone asking if it should be someone external. My personal view, I don't think it has to be, but then considering this person's role in the company is quite important, because if it's someone from HR, maybe the participant might be reluctant to fully open up, or he might be afraid of how the conversation could stay confidential. Something to consider, even though I think it could still be someone from HR. A lot happened. A lot of emotion when people shared their experiences. Emotion from the network members, but also from the leaders. Some of them were almost shocked to hear some of the stories from colleagues. I think it's colleagues they've worked with day to day for months or years. They never really realize what those colleagues have been going through. And it's not just at work, it's more outside of work. So story from university, from day-to-day life, that was really impactful. So there was a lot of emotion, empathy as well, and people really listening and taking in all of the stories, which then really triggered at the end of the session this focus around, so what are we going to do next? So what? Now we've heard a lot of stories, but what's next for the organization and for leaders to take actions? The impact was a list of actions that we agreed during the meeting, and then that we followed up in writing after the session. So actions such as for the executive to focus a lot more on the recruitment so how their direct report were recruiting to ensure it was bringing diversity at a senior level. Also to challenge a lot more the recruitment agencies to bring a diverse candidate pool. And all of those actions then were agreed in conjunction with the D&I team and HR. There was also some clear direction to the senior leadership team, so the wider senior leadership team, to be more vocal, more visible into participating in D&I events, in attending network events as well, to carry on raising their awareness. Those steps are easy actions they were able to implement and take. But beyond, and a key step that I almost forgot was then the CEO in an all-staff meeting making a statement on a zero tolerance policy against discrimination, linked to then a review of some of the processes and policies in place in the company. That was really a key step. But beyond all of those actions, for me, the main difference was how it started to raise awareness and led to a conversation around, this was a small group of people. Before we go further into actions, actually, do we have any data, any evidence on the lived experience of all colleagues in the company? And from there, with the D&I team, we agreed, how can we run some focus groups to go much deeper into the experience of employees? And for me, that was a big step forward, because then it enabled the HR team to really have data on how people felt, and based on that, then more actions could be put in place.